Good evening. This is a regular scheduled meeting of the Kettering City Council. Today's date is January 28th, 2025. And please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please bow your heads for a short invocation. Good evening. As we gather to serve our community, may we be guided by wisdom, compassion, and integrity. Let our discussions be fair, our decisions just, and our actions united in purpose. May we always strive to foster understanding, collaboration, and progress for the good of all. Amen. I'd like to recognize our Miami Valley Communication Council TV operator, Mike Sabroni. Mike, thanks for your assistance. Okay. Gotcha. Is that better? Okay. We have no public hearings this evening. We do have one proclamation. I'm going to ask Mrs. Fisher to read that for us.
Ma'am, would you like me to go ahead and approve the minutes first?
Yes, you might want to do that.
That'd be awesome. I have reviewed the minutes from the council and workshop for January the 14th. I do find them in order, and I move for their approval.
Second.
Okay, any questions? Okay, please call the roll.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Duval?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton?
Yes.
Mayor Lehner?
Yes. I was just checking you were paying attention.
I was,
Yeah.
but I'm so excited to read this proclamation, though, let me tell you.
Okay.
I have a proclamation, whereas mentoring provides youth with the support and guidance and opportunities they need to succeed in life. And whereas mentors serve as role models, advocates, and friends, helping young people to achieve their full potential. And whereas big brothers, big sisters of the Miami Valley have been creating life-changing mentor relationships since 1958, making meaningful matches between adult volunteers, called bigs, and youth, called littles, ages 6 through 18. And whereas the organization's mission is to ignite the power and promise of youth through one-to-one mentoring relationships, and its vision is that all youth achieve their full potential. And whereas in Kettering, 38 children have benefited from the support and guidance of being matched with a big through the impactful program. And whereas January is National Mentoring Month, raising awareness of the importance of mentoring and encouraging citizens to get involved to help every child realize their potential. Therefore, Peggy Lehner, Mayor of the City of Kettering, on behalf of City Council and the community, do hereby proclaim January as National Mentoring Month. And I will add on to that, we actually have some mentoring that goes on in our city at Beavertown at our schools, and I did know it was National Mentoring Month, and so what a great time to have Greg Winkfield come here on behalf of Big Brothers and Big Sisters to accept this proclamation, and his beautiful wife who came with him.
Come on down. I'm going to come down there and present this to you, but I'm a little lame these days, so
She'll walk
give me
slow.
time. And I won't throw it flat on it. Thank you so much for being with us, and thank you for doing a very, very important job in our community. How long have you been with Big Brothers?
Yeah, so I've been with Big Brothers Big Sisters since I was a kid through mentoring, but I've been the CEO now going on 2 months. So
2 months.
Yeah, I'm excited to kind of grow and help more and more kids, and I just appreciate the City of Kettering and Mayor for the proclamation, and I look forward to working with you and helping more and more kids.
There you go.
Great. It's wonderful to have you and give you that. If you'd like to say any more about mentoring, in our community? Feel free.
Yes, okay.
Speaking of.
Thank you. I won't take much of your time, but I do just appreciate the support that we have from the Miami Valley and surrounding areas. As you know, mentorship is very, very important for a number of different reasons. But specifically, mentorship plays an important part in all of our lives, especially mine. Even at the ripe old age of 38, I still have a mentor that has helped guide me. So a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions about mentorship. They, feel you have to come from a single parent household or a certain income. Mentorship can impact anybody. And that's what we want to do here. We want to spread our mission and help as many kids as possible. So my humble ask of you all, if you have 4 to 6 hours a month that you can spend to donate time to, helping one of our youth, please become a big. Also, we have several different events going on throughout the year. Unfortunately, it does cost to kind of help these kids. It's not completely free, so if you have the kindness in your heart, please feel free to donate or join our Promise Circle of Giving. So for 2 cups of coffee a month, you can essentially, kind of help a kid growing up. So we really appreciate you. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
We will now move on to legislation. At this point in the meeting, if you wish to speak before council with comments on new information about the legislation on tonight's agenda, you may do so at this time. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes. Speakers must state their name and address, and comments should be addressed to council. If you have comments that are not about the legislation on tonight's agenda, there will be an opportunity for those to be heard later in the meeting. Is there anyone who wishes to address council on the legislation tonight? Okay, seeing none, we will move first to ordinances in second reading. I'll call on Mrs. Fisher to start.
Your Honor, I do have an ordinance to amend the text of various sections of the City of Kettering zoning code. It is requested by Planning and Development, and I move for its approval.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Mr. Chudowski.
Thank you, Your Honor. This particular legislation will provide that selected revisions will modify the existing and enact new criteria for staff and the Planning Commission to use when reviewing requests to modify pattern district designations. As part of this amendment, definitions for walkability and commercial node would be created. And the attachment to the legislation is the red line document of the changes reflected in the zoning code. Happy to answer any additional questions or concerns the council may have on this matter.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Okay, seeing none, call the roll.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Duval?
Yes.
Mr. Suddeth?
Yes.
Mayor Lehner?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have an ordinance enacting codified ordinance chapter 744, adult use cannabis, to prohibit the commercial cultivation, processing, and dispensing of adult use cannabis in Kettering. This is requested by City Council. I move for approval.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Mr. Grayson.
Yes, Your Honor. This ordinance, as Councilmember Sullivan articulated, prohibits the commercial cultivation, processing, and dispensing of adult use cannabis in Kettering. As you'll recall, in November of 2023, Ohio legalized cultivation, processing, and sale of adult use cannabis by licensed operators. While this happened, Ohio Revised Code also permitted the legislative authority of each municipality, in this case the City Council, to adopt an ordinance that prohibits one or all of these things. So essentially it's each city's call whether those operators can exist in their community. To better understand the issue and conduct research, as well as prepare legislation that best meets the needs of the community, we adopted a moratorium which temporarily prohibited operators until we determined the best course of action in Kettering. Staff has closely monitored state-level regulatory efforts. We've examined the efforts of other communities, conducted research, and spent time discussing this information in several workshop meetings with you. It should be noted that Ohio law still allows personal adult use. It allows within limits for individuals to grow cannabis at their own homes. And while many communities have adopted moratoriums and likely will prohibit these facilities, there are adult use cannabis dispensaries within close proximity to Kettering in other communities. Dayton and Beaver Creek come to mind. However, consistent with our workshop discussions, we believe that it's in the best interest of the health, safety, and welfare of Kettering to prohibit the commercial cultivation, processing, and dispensing of adult use cannabis in Kettering, and that's what the ordinance recommended tonight accomplishes. Be glad to answer any questions that you may have about this one.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Griesman. Do we have any questions? Okay. See none, call the roll.
Mr. Sullivan,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Ms. Duval,
No.
Mr. Suddeth,
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher,
Yes.
Mayor Lehner.
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a resolution I'm proud to read, authorizing the city manager on behalf of the city to make a $5,000 contribution to the 2025 NCAA First for Hoopla ticket program. Estimated cost is $5,000 and is requested by the city manager's office. I do move for approval.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Griesman.
Was it a mistake that a very big basketball fan made that motion?
He moved his chair around, yeah.
Now, this request is for the bronze sponsorship level and requires legislation because it's a contribution on behalf of the city. The 2025 contribution is $5,000. And certainly this is a regional event that has benefits to the entire region as well as Kettering, and we're proud to once again recommend support of it.
Any questions? Okay, call the roll.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Ms. Duval,
Yes.
Mr. Suddeth,
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher,
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan,
Yes.
Mayor Lehner.
Yes. Before we move on to the next one, I would like to say that Mrs. Hall has an excused absence this evening. Okay. Where are we? Ms. Duval.
I have a resolution authorizing payment of 2025 membership dues to Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission. The estimated cost is $30,666.86. The amount budgeted is $30,700. This is requested by Planning and Development, and I move for approval.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Mr. Griesman.
Yes, Your Honor. The Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission is our metropolitan planning organization. It serves a vital role in planning transportation, environmental, and other initiatives across our region, as well as serving as the MPO, the Metropolitan Planning Organization, and prioritizing the allocation of federal transportation dollars. They perform a lot of things, and they're valued partners in our efforts to grow effectively. The yearly fee requires legislation because it's over $25,000, and as Ms. Duval articulated, it's $30,666.86. We recommend approval.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, call the roll.
Ms. Duval,
Yes.
Mr. Suddeth,
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher,
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Mayor Lehner.
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase equipment through sealed bids, negotiated quotes, or a cooperative purchase program. This has been requested by the Finance Department in the amount of $3,013,300. The amount budgeted is $3,013,300, and I do move for approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. I think it's Mr. Bergstresser, except we're going to speak through you, Mr.
Yes,
Griesman.
I'm going to handle this one, as Mr. Bergstresser's voice is, he's a little under the weather. So, yes, this is equipment that is scheduled to be replaced as part of our equipment replacement program and funded in our 2025 budget. It includes vehicles and equipment in police, fire, engineering, streets, facilities, and parks maintenance. I'd be glad to answer any questions, but I'll spare you reading the long list of equipment.
Okay, any questions? All right, call the roll.
Mr. Suddeth,
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Duval?
Yes.
Mayor Laner?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a resolution authorizing the city manager to use competitive bargaining and negotiated quotes to contract for the purchase of fire uniforms and station wear for the fire department. Estimated cost and budget are both $50,000 requested by the fire department, and I move for approval.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Greason?
It's fairly self-explanatory. Fire uniforms and station wear for the fire department. Quotations were obtained for this in December, and this would allow for the purchase for our firefighters.
Okay,
Glad to
great.
answer any questions,
Thank
as
you. Any
well as the
questions?
chief.
No questions? Call the roll.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Duval?
Yes.
Mr. Suddeth?
Yes.
Mayor Laner?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase bunker gear for the fire department. The estimated cost is $57,000. The amount budgeted is $60,000, and this is requested by the fire department. I move for approval.
Second.
Moved and second. Mr. Greason?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. This purchase allows for the replacement of 14 sets of gear as part of the fire department's annual replacement plan, and it ensures that all of our gear does not exceed its 10-year life expectancy for safety, which is in accordance with national fire protection standards. Be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Don't see any? Call the roll.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Duval?
Yes.
Mr. Suddeth?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mayor Laner?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a resolution authorizing the city manager to contract with Justice AV Solutions for the purchase of courtroom audio-visual recording equipment. Estimated cost is $52,621.15 and is requested by Judge Dressel. I do move for approval.
Second.
Mr. Greason?
Yes, Your Honor. The Kettering Municipal Court uses courtroom audio-video recording equipment, which is provided by Justice AV Solutions. Much of the equipment is at the point where it needs to be upgraded. Funds are in place to update one of the three courtrooms' equipment at this juncture. Equipment's being replaced would be equipment's about between 4 and 12 years old. Justice AV Solutions should be considered a sole source vendor in order to ensure compatibility with component equipment in other courtrooms. Be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Seeing none, call the roll.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Duval?
Yes.
Mr. Suddeth?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mayor Laner?
Yes.
I have a resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase computers and servers from Dell for the annual computer and server replacement program. Estimated cost and amount budgeted is $131,230. This is requested by Administrative Systems, and I move for approval.
Second.
Okay, moved and second. Mr. Greason?
I think this is a theme where this is the beginning of the year and you're authorizing the allocation of funds for many of our replacement programs, which is important in our organization. This particular resolution allows us to purchase desktop and laptop computers for the PC replacement program. About 20% of the city's existing computer fleet across all departments would be replaced. Additionally, 20% of the existing servers across departments, server replacements, be estimated about $30,000. We think it's prudent to have a centralized replacement program. It establishes a method for ensuring that employees are able to perform their jobs using modern, reliable technology, and it maximizes the opportunity for bulk purchase. We recommend approval. Be glad to answer any questions.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? Thanks for commenting on the fact that this does seem like we're spending a lot of money tonight. This is always true in the month of January.
Yes.
So, call the roll.
Ms. Duval?
Yes.
Mr. Suddeth?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mayor Laner?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a resolution tonight authorizing a pay increase for our city manager, Matthew Greason. I never say Matthew ever. This is requested by myself and fellow city council members. I do move for approval.
Second.
Okay. I'm going to offer the explanation on this. This is the time of year where we reconsider everyone's compensation. That has already occurred for all of the other members of the staff here in our great city. And all of the non-union staff received an increase of 3%, which is what we're recommending for Mr. Greason. He's worth a lot more than that, but that's all he get. So I move for approval. Well, you already did. I'll say second it.
Great. Call the roll.
Call the roll.
Mr. Suddeth?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Duval?
Yes.
Mayor Lehner?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a resolution authorizing the city manager to use competitive bargaining and negotiated quotes to contract for the purchase of replacement equipment for the Parks Maintenance Center. The estimated cost is $555,000, all those fives. We do not have anything budgeted at this time. It is requested by Parks, Rec, and Cultural Arts, and I move for approval.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Greason.
Yes, Your Honor. First, thank you for the wage increase. It's an honor to serve the city of Kettering. Item 11, this request is to purchase and/or replace some of the various capital equipment lost within the Parks Maintenance Center barn fire. There's a list of equipment in your agenda package, which I will not read to you at length, but we would be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
I do have a question. This does not include a new building? What
No.
is the status of that?
Yes, that we're obviously not prepared to request a specific amount. That will require design and discussion with the insurance pool, Miami Valley Risk Management Association. That will come at a later date.
Okay, just curious, where is all this new equipment going to be stored?
Creatively.
I will not put a lawnmower in my living room. So. Okay, we call the roll. Any questions?
Yeah, just clarification. We've been through this before, but just for the record, this equipment is covered by an insurance policy that was damaged during the fire.
Yeah, just like you may, if you had a fire at your home, the city is insured. Actually, we're a founding member of MAVERMA, which is a large number of municipalities who gather together to essentially have a self-insured risk pool. MAVERMA, we will be reimbursed for these equipment purchases with a very moderate deductible.
Great. Thank God for insurance. All right, call the roll.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Duval?
Yes.
Mr. Suddeth?
Yes.
Mayor Lehner?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a resolution authorizing the city manager to accept and expend a grant from the Kettering Parks Foundation to help support youth gym at the Kettering Recreation Complex. The estimated amount is $5,000. There's nothing budgeted, and it is requested by the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Arts Department. I move for approval.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Greason.
Yes, this supports, we're thankful for the Parks Foundation and their continued support of all the things we do. This supports the free youth gym Monday through Friday at the Kettering Recreation Complex in 2025.
Okay,
Glad to
any
answer
questions?
questions.
Call the roll.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Duval?
Yes.
Mr. Suddeth?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mayor Lehner?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a resolution authorizing the city manager to contract with Tiffin Scenic Studios for repairs to the rigging system at the Fraze Pavilion. Estimated cost $132,614 is requested by the Public Service Department, and I do move for approval.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Greason.
Yes, Your Honor, and members of council, the rigging system on the Frage stage supports the lighting and audio system, and it's aged, and it's in need of some repairs. Tiffin Scenic Studios is actually the original installer and is highly recommended by lighting and audio system experts. It's necessary to have these repairs completed prior to our Phrase 2025 season. And the quote for the repair is, as articulated, $132,614. There's a contingency of $17,386 to cover any unknown expenses once the repair begins. We think it's important to accomplish this to ensure the success of the Phrase season and recommend approval. Be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, anyone have any questions? Okay, call the roll.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Duval?
Yes.
Mr. Suddeth?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mayor Laner?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Got a little off track there. I have a resolution authorizing the city manager to use competitive bargaining and negotiated quotes to contract for renovations at the Delco Park BMX track. Estimated cost is $114,000. This is requested by the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Arts Department, and I move for approval.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Greason.
Yes, Your Honor, this project's Phase 1 repair and renovations at the Delco Park BMX track. It includes the installation of a new starting gate, modified starting hill, and the first straight and turn for the BMX track. It's estimated at $114,000, and despite the fact that I probably won't try this myself, we recommend approval.
Chicken. Any questions? Okay, call the roll.
Ms. Duval?
Yes.
Mr. Suddeth?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mayor Laner?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a resolution authorizing the city manager to use competitive bargaining and negotiated quotes to contract for the restoration and resurfacing of sport court surfacing at various parks in Kettering. The estimated cost is $56,000, the same as the amount budgeted. This has been requested by the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Arts Department, and I move for approval.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Mr. Greason?
Yes, Your Honor, this includes cleaning, crack repair, equipment replacement, repainting of court lines, and resurfacing. Specifically in 2025, court repairs are planned for Southern Hills and Walther Parks, and the estimated cost is $56,000. Be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions? I have one. What is the sport court?
It's where you play sports.
Tennis court.
Is it a tennis court and a pickleball court,
Yes.
or it's other?
Basketball courts,
It's, okay.
yeah,
Any kind
all
of-
of the above.
Okay, all of the above. Okay.
Anything I missed?
Call the roll.
Mr. Suddeth?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Duval?
Yes.
Mayor Laner?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a resolution authorizing the city manager to use competitive bargaining and negotiated quotes to contract for the repair, cleaning, roofing, and painting of various park amenities and structures. Estimated cost and budget are both $30,000, requested by Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Arts, and I move for approval.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Greason?
So this is a project, Your Honor, that consists of minor carpentry repair, cleaning, painting of park shelters, decking in parks, some of our hardscape structures, fountains, play equipment, and amenities at various parks throughout the system. So we
Everything other than a sport court.
yes. I should say tennis courts, pickleball courts, basketball courts.
It's okay, we get the idea.
Yes.
All right.
Be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Duval?
Yes.
Mr. Suddeth?
Yes.
Mayor Laner?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a resolution authorizing the city manager to apply for a grant from the Ohio Arts Council. This is requested by Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Arts Department. I move for approval.
Second.
Mr. Greason?
Yes, Your Honor. We have the opportunity to apply for general operating support from the Ohio Arts Council for the 2026 cycle. If we obtain funds, it will be used for operating support at the Rosewood Arts Center, for programs like the multi-arts classes, special events, the Rosewood Gallery, the Kettering Children's Theater, and Art on the Commons. Be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Duval?
Yes.
Mr. Suddeth?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mayor Laner?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a resolution authorizing the city manager to use the Ohio Department of Transportation consultant selection process to contract for engineering design and environmental services for the Galewood Street Bridge Rehabilitation Project. City project number 03-928B, ODOT project MOT-Galewood Street Municipal Bridge, PID 122768. Estimated cost is $120,000, is requested by the engineering department, and I move for approval.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Greason.
Yes, Your Honor, as you know, we're scheduled to replace the Galewood Bridge. This will authorize the consultant selection process to contract for engineering, design, and environmental services for that bridge rehabilitation project. Be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions? Okay, call the roll.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Duval?
Yes.
Mr. Suddeth?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mayor Laner?
Yes. We will now move to ordinances in first reading.
No, we got one more.
We have one more
One more.
resolution.
Okay.
I have a resolution, last resolution, to make supplemental appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Kettering, State of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2025. Estimated cost, $810,000 in net transfers. This is requested by the Finance Department, and I move for approval.
Second.
Mr. Greason.
Yes, Your Honor, you authorized a number of expenditures by resolution. We now need to make supplemental appropriations to help accomplish many of those things. These supplemental appropriations include $660,000 for our parks maintenance equipment. It's requested in the Parks and Recreation Fund to replace the contents destroyed in the barn fire. The estimated contents include vehicles, equipment, tools, and supplies at $715,000. This request is net of the $55,000 you already appropriated on January 14th for the replacement of a forklift, which we were moving a little bit faster on that one because it's critical to our operations. As I articulated earlier, we're working with Maverma to process insurance claims. And there'll be a transfer from the general fund for the same amount is also included in this request. There's a supplemental appropriation for the capital improvement fund for the phrase rigging system, which we discussed earlier, and to provide for current expenses and other expenditures during fiscal year. The following supplemental sums are set aside. $660,000 transferred from the general fund to the Parks Recreation Fund, $150,000 transferred to the Capital Improvement Fund. From the Parks and Recreation Fund, operating expenses in the Park and Recreation Department, $105,000, capital outlay, $555,000, and from the Capital Improvement Fund, $150,000 for Parks and Recreation. Be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? Okay, call the roll.
Ms. Duval?
Yes.
Mr. Suddeth?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mayor Laner?
Yes. We will now move to ordinances in first reading, and we are at, whose turn is it?
Mr. Suddeth.
Mr. Suddeth.
Your Honor, I do have an ordinance in the first reading, and it reads to amend the traffic control map and the traffic control file of the City of Kettering regarding traffic signs on Fairmont Avenue. It's requested by the Engineering Department.
Okay, it's first reading, but Matt, you want to explain that?
I would be glad to. Your Honor, this would show no parking at any time on the west side of Fairmont Avenue from West Dorothy Lane to Parkdale Street, and it would rescind the prior ordinance. It would include no parking on the west side of Fairmont Avenue from Dorothy Lane southwardly for a distance of 50 feet. These particular restrictions are needed because school buses and emergency vehicles have difficulty driving a narrow section of Fairmont Avenue when there are cars parked on both sides of the street. The prior legislation extended only 50 feet onto Fairmont Avenue, and it needs to be extended the entirety of that block in order to ensure the safe passage of those critical vehicles. Be glad to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions? Okay.
Are the residents on that street notified of this pending legislation?
Yes,
And it's just that first block north of Dorothy Lane, is that correct?
correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, call the roll.
No
Oh,
roll.
no, roll, first reading. Okay.
Your Honor, I do have another ordinance to amend the traffic control map and the traffic control file of the City of Kettering regarding Swigert Road, which happens to be a road I go down every day of my life. It is requested by Engineering Department, and it is first reading.
Okay, Mr. Greason. Last
Yes,
one.
so this restriction is due to the curvature of the roadway where there's difficulty for vehicles driving when there's cars parked on the street. So this would be no parking anytime north side of Swigert Road from a point 225 feet west of Timberwild, westward for a distance of 300 feet. Glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions? Okay, first reading. Mrs. Hayslip, do we have any certifications or petitions this evening?
Your Honor, we have no certifications or petitions this evening.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Greason, if you've got any voice left,
Yes.
we'd love your manager's report, community
Yes,
update.
be glad to do it. Dog licenses, forms are available at area pet supply stores, some vet offices, and the Animal Resource Center. The deadline to purchase dog licenses is January 31st. Want to highlight the blood pressure clinic dates, which are, of course, at the Dayton Metro Library at the Kettering Moran branch on Far Hills. And we certainly encourage anyone who wants to take advantage of those. We have air quality improvement grant funds that are available for homeowners in need of upgrading outdated HVAC systems. And if you are interested in this program, we encourage you to contact our Community Development Program Coordinator, Missy Frost, at the contact email on the screen. Additionally, there are Lead Safe Ohio grant available. This is an effort by the state to help remediate lead in some of our older homes. And there are eligibility requirements. If you're interested in this and you have a household income under $80,000 for a family of 2 or $100,000 for a family of 4, you may be eligible, and you can contact our community development office to get more information. That's all I have, and I'd be glad to answer any questions, maybe.
Okay, thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. Lots of opportunities there. Let's see. At this point, if there's anyone who wishes to address council on an issue other than legislative, you may come down now to do that. I will remind you, you will have a 5-minute limit. You are to address council, provide your name and address first off. We will set a timer here. Please try to keep anything you have to say tonight to new information that council has previously not heard. Is there anyone who would like to come down at this point? Mr. Wood.
Hello, Mayor and City Council. Can you hear me? Oh, okay. It sounds like I can't hear right here. Okay. I'm here.
Name and address.
Oh, sorry, but I don't know. I keep forgetting that. Name David Woods. Address 3230 Lakeview Avenue.
Thank you.
It's like I hear that. Oh, okay. Basically, I'm represented by Kirk Client Smith from Dallas, Texas, my lawyers, and then the Civil Rights Commission, Christine McDonald. And I told you before, she approved that Kettering Hospital illegally trespassed me, and she found out that Captain Perez lied and the lawyer lied, and she caught them all, and she did a wonderful job. And also, I'm here to sue the city of Kettering, city of Kettering. I'm suing for $13 million. That's what I want for y'all. I want $2 million to go to y'all, the city council meeting, for cleaning up this mess that Kettering Police got involved in with Kettering. And then $2 million to the Civil Rights Commission, Christine McDonald and them, and $9 million for me for a definition of character that they did for me, for they went to all the Kettering hospitals and told them I made a threat. And the Civil Rights Commission, Christine McDonald, proving that they lied about that. And they told my dad before he died, and my brothers and sisters, that I made a threat. They lied on that definition of character. And then basically, the reason why the Inglewood Police is involved is this. They didn't tell the chief police, because I know the chief police wouldn't tolerate this stuff, and I know they wouldn't let they didn't tell the mayor, because the mayor wouldn't tolerate Kettering Police lying. First, they lied to me and said, basically that we destroyed on August the 17th when I called them to go with me to see my dad, because Kettering Police said I couldn't see my dad in the hospital illegally, and I called Kettering Police to go with me. And that was at August the 17th at 1:43. I got the records on my phone records on Consumer Cellular. I called dispatch there. When they hid in the parking lot, they asked me, well, the dispatch lady said, what car, man? I said, a red car. When they came out there, next thing you know, Sergeant Scott Chandler for Kettering Hospital and the Kettering Police is right there. And I said, okay, I'm about to go see my dad. Next thing you know, police officer looked at me like the Elvis person. You know how you do like this? They looked at me like this, and then they gonna say, you gotta leave. So Kettering Police turned against me. I'm like, what the heck? So I did get to see my dad. Had they went with me, because I called them, my dad's life would be a lot more safe. He'd probably be alive today. So, and then when I called for the report, because when I talked to you on the 14th, remember? Apparently, they must have heard about it something, because they said, oh, well, we destroyed the evidence way back. I said, what? But then, I said, I'm gonna go tell the chief police. They said, don't tell the chief police. I guess you, right? Chief police. They said, don't call the chief police. They was nervous. I said, I'm gonna get the mayor. They act like little kids, like, you know, your mom go to a little kid and they take some cookie out of the jar and they'll get a whooping. That's how they look. They were scared of the mayor. So I said, I'm gonna get the mayor on y'all. And so they got nervous and they said, well, we got your report, just call back. They said, well, you get the wrong number. You get the number you got now, 216 numbers. They said, how about the number you had at that time period? Okay, I said, it was 937-520 and the other one 937-430. They said, oh, we still can't find you. They lying on there. They said, well, you know how I catch them in a lie? Because it's the only thing we got for you is the one for 2021 when we stopped you and we gave you a warning. Well, the number I gave was the 216 number. I caught Kettering Police in a lie right there. How you gonna get what I have for 2021 and I had a 261 number and you said you couldn't find the other one for 2022? So, and I got the records right here at 1:43 August 17 at 1:43. Their number, this is Kettering number right here, the same number, 937-296-2555. I called them, and Kettering was involved, police was involved. Appreciate what you're doing. Christine McDonald did a fine job, and she proved that they were lying. And then the chief of police, I'm coming out to Inglewood too, for chief of police, for the fact that he said that he never did tell me I made a threat towards them, for him holding back. Now Inglewood's involved too, so I appreciate what y'all doing. God bless y'all, and y'all can send a check to me, Christine Reggiano, and to y'all to check for clean this mess. The Kettering police has proven that they've been racism. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to address council tonight? Okay, seeing none, we'll now turn to council reports. Mrs. Fisher.
Your Honor, I have two things to uplift. The first would be the Volunteer Advisory Committee got together this month, celebrated last year's accomplishments. Great time, good time to catch up on each other. Second thing, I do want to uplift our employee council within our city of Kettering. They put together a fun evening on a Friday night, and there were several people that came out. I don't think I did very good at the trivia game, but it's really nice that they do great things for our employees to bring morale up. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Sullivan.
All right. I've got a couple school things I wanted to share with everybody. we got 2 weekends in a row of a lot of school events. So this week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you are all invited to the play that goes wrong. I have a lot of students that are in that play. I don't know a lot about it, but I'm going to go one night. It's Thursday, Friday, Saturday at 7:30 each night. So if you're interested, this weekend, yep. And then next weekend, February 7th, Friday, February 7th, there's a Fairmont basketball game. And at halftime of the Fairmont basketball game, the new class of Fairmont Athletic Hall of Famers will be, it's already been announced, but they'll be introduced at halftime. I'm going to read off those names real quick. These might be some familiar names for some of you who've been in Kettering a while. Megan Kelsey, she was a 2007 grad. Natalie Uwe, a 2013 grad. Josh Murphy, 2008. Chelsea Welch, 2013. She won the state title in basketball. She was one of the players. Jean Nace, Fairmont East, 1982. So that one's a little bit of a throwback. They won a state championship in softball that year, and she was the pitcher. And Robin Lynch, who was a long time, worked with the medical staff for our athletics. So all of those folks will be introduced at the halftime of the game on Friday night. And then after the game, the Kettering Forward Foundation will be hosting an event at BW3's at Town and Country. So everyone's invited to that as well. Just a good chance to hang out and talk to the athletes, see a lot of Kettering folk. It'll be a lot of fun. So if you go to the Forward Foundation website, you can RSVP. I don't think you have to. You could probably just show up, but you could. Okay, I'm almost done here. Saturday is the actual ceremony. So it's 2 full weekends for it. Saturday, February 8th, mark your calendars. At noon, there will be a reception in the lobby, light lunch. The inductees will be mingling. You could talk to them. But at 1 o'clock, the ceremony will begin in the auditorium. And MVCC has been so kind to volunteer their services to film that ceremony and also some of the interviews with the athletes. So big thanks to MVCC. And then the last thing I'll say, Socialite Cafe, we all know it and love it. It's in District 3. The only thing I didn't like about it was they weren't open on Sundays, and now they are. So,
they are.
Yeah, starting, I know, this weekend, 8:30 to 2:30, so reduced hours, but they will be open on Sunday, so I'll probably see some of you there. And that's it for me.
Okay, thank you.
All right, nothing on any of my committee meetings, but kind of on the athletic theme. 2 Sundays past, I was at the Flying to the Hoop at Trent Arena, and I can't emphasize enough the PR the city of Kettering gets for that, because the superiority of Trent Arena compared to most high school arenas, teams from all over the country come to Kettering, Ohio to play basketball, and it's a great event. On my usual Shop Kettering subject, this is a far in advance notice. 2 weeks from this Friday is Valentine's Day. So you have over 2 weeks to shop for a gift for your significant other, flowers, candy, or whatever, and to scout out the restaurant of choice in Kettering that you want to take that person to for Valentine's dinner. That's it for me.
Very good, thank you.
I would counter and say do not go with flowers and candy. That's just old school. Don't do that.
I'm old.
Go over to We Care Arts. Go over to their little shop in Town and Country. Get some good stuff from We Care Arts. There you go.
Good suggestion.
There you go. I don't have
But I'll
much.
take flowers and candy too.
I will always take flowers, yeah. I don't really have much of an update tonight, but I do want to recognize that we have a KLA member in the audience. Alexandra Lacey is here. She's one of our class members this year with Brian.
Welcome,
So thank you for coming, and I'm disappointed you did not come down and speak. Okay. And that's all.
Okay, thank you.
It's a couple of things. Oh, I'm out of
5
time.
minutes, or your time's up.
Alrighty then. Hey, just a week ago, I joined the community. Gosh, I just went blank. Thanks, everybody. The Board of Community Relations at the Centerville, Washington Township Martin Luther King breakfast for a fantastic speaker. A lady came up from Alabama who was the youngest marcher on the bridge in Selma so many years ago. So it's fantastic to hear her. And just our group of Board of Community Relations spent time with members of the Centerville, Washington Township just to better understand how they do their breakfast, how they do their event, and they are going to be partnering with us for our Juneteenth celebration. So it's just a good time for Kettering to go down and spend time down there with that event. It's a great event. Also, on the Eat Local, I know there's been some controversy, but I went to get the pho out of here, and it was fantastic. It's in the old, no, it's pho. You got to ask them. You get the pho out, and I encourage you guys to stop by the Castle Hills over there and get some great food in the old, what's the name of the sandwich place that was there that's gone now? Grinders, yeah, the old Grinders location.
it's where Grinders
So the food's fantastic, the staff are really sweet, and it's just a great addition to our restaurant options here near downtown Kettering.
Whether they serve pho or pho. Huh?
They serve, well, I think that they'll serve it to you no matter how you pronounce it. They'll take your money.
Okay.
So there you go.
All right. Thank you all. Thank you all for the time you take to attend so many of these events. There's a lot going on in this city, and it's hard to cover them all, but I think it sounds like we're doing a pretty good job of it. I don't really have anything more to add tonight, except for a reminder to make sure your kids, your grandkids, and your neighbors' kids go to school every single day. It's important. So with that, I think that concludes our business for this evening. Our next regularly scheduled meeting of Kettering City Council is on February 11th, and this meeting is adjourned.